Hey everybody, Will Hamilton here. Thanks for watching this video, and we are going to talk a little bit about tennis and poker. Now, this video is actually a follow-up from the previous video I released where we talked about poaching, specifically how Bob and Mike Bryan poach. And what I talked about in that video, quick recap, is let's say we have Bob at net here. He is going to take a couple steps up, and then at the appropriate time when his opponent, when the returner has committed to his shot, he's going to move over and poach. Or if he is fake poaching, he's going to time everything the same, move up. When his opponent is committed to the shot, he's going to take a step over, but then he's actually going to reset back into the middle of the court there. And the reason he does that, the reason he's doing it like this, is the initial part of the move is consistent so that the returner has no idea what Bob is going to do. That, of course, can make it very difficult on the returner. Well, on that video, I got a bunch of comments, and one very consistent or common comment was, Will, what about maybe faking a little bit earlier? So in other words, you keep the normal poach move the same, but when you're going to fake, you actually take a step over a little bit early. You know, your opponent still has time to change the direction of the shot. So if the opponent was initially, the returner was initially going to go cross court, he sees you start to move, and he tries to adjust the shot down into the alley. But of course, you're faking, so you're going to be over there, and then it's an easy volley for you. So here's where poker comes in. And not just poker, we're actually going to talk about James Bond in poker, because there's a scene, or kind of a series of scenes, in Casino Royale where James Bond is playing poker with the main bad guy. I think his name is Le Chiffre, something like that, the dude that would cry blood, which was kind of freaky. But anyway, what happened in these poker scenes is that when they first start playing, Bond and Le Chiffre, he sees that Le Chiffre goes like this when he's bluffing. And a bluff is when you, if you're not a poker player, is when you have a really weak hand, but you bet a lot of money to get the other guys to fold. So Le Chiffre does this, and he bluffs. And this move here with the finger on my temple is called a tell. It's a physical kind of thing you do that tips off what hand you have. And there can be tells for having big hands, weak hands, whatever. Anyway, so Bond picked off this tell. When Le Chiffre did this, he was bluffing. He had a really weak hand. So Bond tells some other people that, that he's working with or whatever, and one of them turns out to be a double agent, so that double agent goes and tells Le Chiffre, Bond has figured out your tell. So instead of stopping this tell, what Le Chiffre does is he says, okay, well, you know, they're back at the poker table, and Le Chiffre has a really big hand, really strong, so he's probably going to win with it. But he does that tell, right? But now it's actually a fake tell, because what Bond is thinking is, well, Le Chiffre has a really weak hand, but that's, of course, actually not the case. Le Chiffre's got a really strong hand now, so he's fooling Bond in this instance. And, of course, Bond bets all his money. Le Chiffre has this great hand, so Le Chiffre wins all his money. Anyway, Bond, you know, of course, you've seen that movie, Bond wins in the end, but just wanted to make sure. Sorry for the spoiler alert, but this is basically, you know, the fake move here is basically, the fake rather, is like a fake tell. You're giving away some information to lead your opponent into making the wrong decision. Again, Le Chiffre giving away some information, thinking that Bond was going to make the wrong decision with it, and of course that's exactly what happened. So that's what you're doing here. It's that fake tell, right? I'm poaching. Oh, just kidding. No, I'm not. I was letting you think I was poaching, but I'm actually not poaching. Now, that works as long as your opponent doesn't really wise up. You know, Bond, of course, is not going to, the next time he sees this, he's not going to say to himself, Le Chiffre has a weak hand. He's going to say, well, maybe he's bluffing, maybe he's got a really strong hand. I don't know, but I'm going to, you know, that information, I'm going to stop making decisions based on it, because it's a little bit tricky here. So if your opponent is as smart as James Bond, he might realize, well, every time you move up and move a little early, that's actually a fake, so he's just going to hit cross court. And then, of course, every time you move up and you haven't ever done, you know, you haven't done anything before the opponent commits to the shot, then he might say, well, that might be a poach coming. So really what I'm getting at here is you need to be very vigilant in observing your opponent and seeing if your opponent picks up on this type of stuff. And if your opponent doesn't, which is pretty likely at the rec level, well, by all means, give them those fake tells. Give away kind of information that's going to lead them to make bad decisions. The reason Bob and Mike don't do this as much is because opponents at the pro level are very good. They're going to figure out what's going on very quickly. So for them, it's better to just have complete disguise and just have the returner say, I simply don't know which way this guy is going. That's the poker player who's got like the hat down and the sunglasses, crosses the arms, and never moves regardless of what the hand is. It's just like, just like that, right? Regardless of whether they got a great hand or a bad hand, they give away nothing. And those players can be tricky because you have, there's less information for you to go on. So yeah, with that in mind, hopefully you got something out of this video. Maybe the poker players watching this video got a little bit more than everybody else, but hopefully I made sense. So with that in mind, thank you very much for watching this video. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in the next video.